Okay,
hard.
the rest of P5. P5, and the Cartesian plane.
This bell rings at 37, right?
Yes, it rings at 37.
Oh my goodness. That's
P5, part 2.
blah, 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 blah.
Okay, focus, let's go. Midpoint formula. You need to know the midpoint formula. How do you, what is the midpoint formula? Who remembers?
X1 plus X2.
Why? Because I'm radical.
Oh, okay, yes, Lindsay. Like this. X1 plus X2 over 2.
And then Y2.
Y1 plus Y2
Yeah.
over 2. So when you're finding the midpoint, you're finding a set of points. You're finding what's happening. So if they give you the numbers -5, -3, and 9, 3, and they say, what is the midpoint? How do you find the midpoint of that?
Well, you're going to take -5 plus 9.
Okay, -5 plus 9
Of 2
and -3
plus
3 over 2. So here I get 4 over 2, which is 2, and I get 0 over 2, which is 0. There's the midpoint of that line. Okay? So you're going to have to do some graphing like you did yesterday with your graphing calculator, put in data plots, and then figure out what is the midpoint of that data plot. So you'll have to take 2 points and figure out what the midpoint is. It says Verizon Communications had annual revenues of $110.9 billion in 2011 and $120.6 billion in 2013. Without knowing any additional information, what would you estimate the 2012 revenue to have been? How can I estimate the revenue? If I know that in 2011 it was 110.9 billion, and I know that in 2012 it was in 2013 it was 120.6 billion. How can you from there discover what 2012 possibly would have been? What is 2012 in comparison to 2011 and 2013?
2 years.
The median, the midpoint. Okay. So you would have to do what?
Add them together.
Divide them.
By 2.
Yes, so I'm going to add the years together, 2011 plus 2013, and divide it by 2, because that will give you 2012. And then I'm going to do 110.9 plus 120.6, and divide it by 2. When you do that, 110.9 plus 120.2, or 120.6, you get 231.5 divided by 2, and you get 115.75. So here I have 2012, and here I have 115.75 billion. So you can estimate that they made 115.75 billion in the year 2012. So you can use midpoint for other things besides just distances. And then the last thing, I think it's the last thing. No, we have 2 things left. Then we need to talk about the equation of a circle. What is the equation of a circle?
Why?
Square root of X minus H squared.
Kind of. I can, so, you guys remember graphing circles last year where we had x minus h squared
Yeah.
plus y minus k squared equals the radius squared.
The one I was going to show.
H and k is your what?
Height.
Is your
Center.
center. It's your center of your circle, okay? H and K is your center of the circle. The most standard form sometimes that you see is just x squared plus y squared equals r squared. That's when your center is 0, 0. Okay, so you might see it written this way, or you might see it written fully out like this. Both are the same equation. So we're going to have problems where we have to figure out some distances and some different things, like figuring out the radius or the diameter of a circle. It says the point 3, 4 lies on a circle whose center is at -1, 2. So the point is 3, 4, and the center is -1, 2. And it says, as shown in this figure, which is a figure of a circle, write the standard form of the equation of this circle. So how can I write the standard form of the equation of this circle? Do you know the center?
Yes, you do know the center.
Okay, you do. It's -1, 2, right?
Yes.
So inside it's going to say x plus 1 because it's always opposite of what it is. And then it's going to say y minus 2 squared. The thing we do not know is my radius squared. Okay? To find my radius, I'm going to use the distance formula. Because if I can figure out the point from the center, okay, because basically this is what this looks like right now. Here's the center, here's the point. If I can figure out what this distance is, I then have my radius of my circle. Okay? So I've got to figure out the radius by using those 2 points by using the distance formula. What is the distance formula? What do I have to plug in?
Is this one what I was trying to say?
Yes,
You did this yesterday.
we did.
X
So
minus H squared.
what?
X minus H squared.
Yes, so I'm going to take, I'm going to take 3 minus -1 and square it, and add to it y minus k squared, or minus 2 squared, and you're going to get your answer. Here you get 4, so 4 squared, and here you get 2 squared. 4 squared is 16, 2 squared is 4, so you get the square root of 20. So if I plug that into this equation, I have x plus 1 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals radical 20 squared. What happens when you square a radical?
It becomes
Yes,
cancel. Yep.
cancel. So your equation is x plus 1 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals 20. So when you're creating equations of circles tonight, you're going to have to show me work with that. You like the sound of work?
Equations of circles.
Wow.
Wondering when I'll have to use it.
The last thing is you might have to use a distance formula to figure out different points of different shapes. Like if it says solve for the other parts of this triangle, you'll have to use distance formula to figure out what the points of a triangle are. The last part, the last thing that we can do is we can take objects that are graphed and we can slide them or translate them. So we're going to talk about translating points. Okay, and translating points are a little bit easier than anything else. So if you have a triangle that has vertices at -1, 2, and 2, 3, and a third one at 1, -4, okay, if I have a triangle like that, and it says, this figure has vertices at the point -1, 2, 1, -4, and 2, 3. Shift the triangle 3 units to the right and 2 units upward, and find the vertices of the shifted triangles. So they want to go 3 units up, 2 units to the right. What do I have to do to all those points to shift that?
Add,
Yes.
add 3 and then
Add 3 to what? The x or the y?
the y.
Okay, and add 2 to the what?
X.
Okay, so I'm going to add those to all of these. So I'm going to say -1 plus 2 to get that point, which is 1. And I'm going to say 2 plus 3 to get that point shifted, which is 5. So this new point is 1, 5. Then I'm going to shift the other one, and I'm going to say 2 plus 2, which is 4. And I'm going to say 3 plus 3, which is 6. So the other point shifts to 4, 6. Then this one, I'm going to say 1 plus 2, which is 3. And I'm going to say -4 plus 3, which is -1. So my next point is at 3, -1. And now I have created a translated triangle. Okay? And all you have to do is add them or subtract them. That is what you are working on tonight.